Hi, my name's Phil. I like to talk about politics. In this video, I'd like to discuss a couple of very recent examples, one in the UK and one in the US, of what happens when you don't have open and honest journalism. You end up with people believing the most ridiculous things that cause them to hurt innocents. And no, it isn't Brexit this time. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, then please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So first up, a little conspiracy about 5G. Now, there are an awful lot of conspiracy theories about, but one of the silliest in recent weeks has been that 5G has caused the current pandemic. I mean, there was all that news about Huawei providing part of the UK's 5G network. Huawei is a Chinese company. Ooh, suspicious. Then the US president said Huawei was bad. Now, in some ways, it may well be. But this is the same president that said that the noise from wind turbines causes cancer. But yeah, sure, listen to that guy. So you have a Chinese company strongly associated with 5G. You have a pandemic that originates from China and hey presto, you have yourselves a genuine conspiracy theory there. This gained traction when it was claimed that Wuhan, the Chinese city that heralded the pandemic, was the first to roll out 5G. This was not the case, it just happened to be one of them. And if you're minded to go along with that logic, somehow, not many people stop to think that actually 5G doesn't exist throughout most of the world. I mean, we have it in pockets in the UK, for example, but it's not been rolled out yet. So how could the pandemic be spreading so quickly if it's caused by 5G, if 5G isn't in all the places where it's spreading? And this seems to have culminated, in the UK at least, in the both hilarious and deeply tragic video of a woman remonstrating with two telecoms workers just trying to get on with their key jobs. And it was I'll link the video from on Twitter in the description below. But there's one particular part, fairly amusing, I have to say, at the same time has been quite shocking. I mean, she's filming herself doing this, and there's these two workers laying fibre cable, and she says to them, you should be within 2 meters of each other. But she says this after walking up to being in point blank range of both of them. But anyway, have a look at it yourself. I'll warn you, it is pretty cringeworthy. It took me 3 goes to get through the whole thing. I couldn't just watch it from start to finish because my brain started melting. But it highlights the sort of damage done when you have no systems in a country for really distilling truth from fiction. It ultimately is what happens when there are no sources that the majority of society agree is telling the truth. Yes, there are always going to be those, and there always have been those. There are those in all societies that will seek to just tell lies and spread misinformation. But you would generally hope to have some sources that everyone will agree are reliable and objective sources of truth. In America, there was a much less amusing case. A train driver who deliberately derailed their locomotive because they saw a naval ship acting suspiciously. It was a naval hospital ship in Los Angeles during a global pandemic, because that is hugely suspicious, isn't it? A hospital ship when you've got a situation like this. Deeply suspicious. So suspicious, in fact, that the driver in question felt the need to get the whole world to open its eyes to this deeply suspicious behaviour, and they thought the only solution is I need to drive this train through a wall and get the eyes of the world's media onto this site. So he derailed the train. Now, of course, it worked. It got the eyes of the world's media onto this little escapade, because that's how common sense works for him. He claimed he thought the ship was up to something. Not what they said it was up to. What they said it was up to was delivering beds so that they could build new emergency accommodation for the new patients. But no, that doesn't fit. A hospital ship delivering medical aid? No, I'm not buying that. It's possibly involved in a government takeover, he said. And, again, it's what happens when you allow conspiracy theories to go mainstream. When your own governments and media are trying to fool the general population, what this means is conspiracies exist. It'd be lovely just to think whenever anyone comes up with a conspiracy, it's just a conspiracy theory. But they exist. Conspiracies exist. But the problem is, it's very difficult, particularly for most people, to judge the credibility of them. In fact, many people don't think about credibility at all. There was an Oxford academic a few years ago, quite interestingly, developed a mathematical equation for applying to conspiracy theories. The idea was it calculated how long something like this could possibly remain secret, because as more and more people would have to be involved in it, there are some conspiracies that people talk about where there'd have to be so many people involved. The idea that one person would go, hang on a minute, this is wrong, and feed out the proof, basically acts as a whistleblower. So it was an equation that worked out how long you could keep this conspiracy under wraps, considering various factors, as I say, including the people who'd have to be in the know. Because the thing about genuine conspiracies is eventually someone will leak proof of it. They'll go, this isn't right, people need to know about this. Whistleblowers are inevitable at some point. But even basic maths isn't everyone's cup of tea, let alone familiarising themselves with advanced statistical tools and the latest ideas pushed forward by Oxford academics. So in reality, we end up with people who will believe any conspiracy if it is against their political opponents without question. And yet, if anyone offers any conspiracy about their political allies, they will then demand proof in forensic detail. I've seen this in so many people where they'll blindly accept anything that's told to them that fits with their worldview. But if you say anything that doesn't, they will demand proof. So it's like they know you should back up what you say with proof. But even when you provide it, they'll still refute it. And that is the world we're living in now. And social media echo chambers are not exactly helping in this regard. Because every now and then, people poke their head out of these little echo chambers and listen to something that doesn't fit with that worldview. Oh, no, that garbage. Oh, you should listen to the lies these people are saying. And, and these lunatics are therefore going to become more and more numerous and tedious until something snaps, I suppose, and we begin to demand higher standards of our media and governments. And again, in this country in particular, the fact that we've had so many people backing Boris Johnson knowing he's a liar. Just knowing he's a liar. And they don't seem to mind. And we should mind, because it's feeding this sort of nonsense. But I think it has to start with the media. I think we need to demand higher standards of our media, because if we had an honest and objective media, that would naturally make for an honest government. Because politicians only lie because it works. If they were called out on their lies every time, it wouldn't work. And ultimately, that's what the media could do. So anyway, just some little thoughts there for the weekend. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, then please also click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.